I want you to picture someone at a holiday party. Nice shoes, recent haircut, phone that came out this year. They're laughing, ordering another round, talking about a weekend trip they just booked. If you had to guess whether this person could cover a $1,000 emergency, about what an ER visit costs, or a last-minute flight home without borrowing money, what would you say? Most people guess they could. Most people guess wrong. I know, because I used to be that person at the party. And the truth is, I was about 3 bad weeks away from serious trouble for longer than anyone knew. This isn't a story about being broke. It's about being fragile. The thing is, it's not about how much you make or what you drive or where you live. It's about how many hits you can take before something breaks. And most people, including people who look completely fine from the outside, are standing a lot closer to the edge than they realize. Let me tell you what fragility actually looks like. It's having a salary that covers your bills barely, with nothing left over at the end of the month. It's credit cards that are technically paid on time, but never paid off. It's a car payment you can afford as long as nothing else goes wrong. It's looking stable to everyone around you while knowing privately that you're one transmission failure away from a crisis. For a long time, I confused income with stability. I thought as long as the paycheck covered the expenses, I was doing fine. I wasn't fine. I was balanced on a knife edge, and I didn't even know it until something pushed me. I had $6,200 in credit card debt, about what a used Honda Civic costs, spread across 3 cards. I was making minimum payments on time every month. To anyone looking at my credit report, I probably looked responsible. To anyone seeing me at work, I looked like I had it together. But I had no emergency fund. None. If my car had broken down that year, or if I'd gotten sick and missed 2 weeks of work, the whole thing would have collapsed. That's fragility. It doesn't announce itself, it just sits there quiet until it isn't. Most people think financial fragility is just about not having savings. It's bigger than that. Let me show you what I mean. Imagine your insurance renews a week early. Your kid needs new shoes. Your water heater starts making a noise. Any one of these things alone might be manageable. 2 in the same month, and suddenly you're deciding which bill to pay late. Your income covers your expenses technically, but there's no room for error. If you had to summarize your financial situation as, I'm fine as long as nothing unexpected happens, you're standing on unstable ground. This is what I call cash flow fragility. Your money and your life are too close together. Or picture this, you lose your job. Not because you did anything wrong, just because the company restructured. How long could you stay afloat? For a lot of people, the answer is measured in weeks, not months. Everything seems fine right up until the day your manager pulls you into a conference room, and then you realize you've been standing on a trapdoor the whole time. Your financial life depends entirely on one stream of income staying exactly the same. That's income fragility. You don't feel it until it's too late. Now imagine you want out. Maybe the job is toxic. Maybe you need to move for family. Maybe you just need a break. But you can't actually leave because you're locked into expenses you can't reduce, a lease you can't break, a car payment that runs for 4 more years, subscriptions that auto-renew, commitments that made sense when you signed them but now feel like a cage. I knew someone once Marcus worked in tech sales at a startup that burned people out fast. He took a job at a quieter company that paid $15,000 less because he wanted his life back. Good decision for his mental health. But 3 months in, he realized he couldn't actually afford the pay cut. His fixed expenses were too high, the downtown apartment he'd signed a year lease on, the car payment, the lifestyle he built when the money was better. He ended up back at the startup 6 months later, more miserable than before because he built a life he couldn't afford to leave. That's flexibility fragility. You have options on paper, but in practice, you're stuck. Financial fragility sends signals long before it becomes a crisis. You just have to be willing to see them. You know you're fragile if you avoid looking at your bank account for days at a time. If opening your banking app makes your chest tighten a little. When's the last time you checked your balance without that little moment of dread? You know you're fragile if you've ever thought, I'll deal with that next month, about a bill you can see coming. If you've ever paid for something on a credit card, specifically because you didn't have the cash that week. Or when you feel relief when payday finally arrives, not excitement relief, like you've been holding your breath and can finally let it out. What about this one? Can you remember the last time you said no to something you wanted but didn't need? If every purchase feels justified in the moment, if you're not sure where your money actually goes each month, you just know it goes, the signals are there if you look. And here's the hardest one to admit. You know you're fragile if you're reading this right now and recognizing yourself, but you're already thinking of reasons why your situation is different, why it's not that bad, why you'll handle it later. I did that for years. I had explanations for everything, and all those explanations kept me from doing the one thing that actually would have helped, which was looking at the problem clearly and doing something about it. If this kind of thinking is useful to you, the subscribe button is right there. That's really the only way this channel keeps going. I'm not here to sell you anything or tell you what to buy. I'm just here to talk about money the way I wish someone had talked to me about it years ago. So what do you do if you realize you're fragile? The first thing, and I mean the very first thing, is to stop pretending you're not. That's not about shame, it's about honesty. The night I finally opened that spreadsheet and saw the full $6,200, I didn't panic. I just sat there for a long time, quiet, because it was the first honest thing I'd seen about my own financial life in years. You can't fix what you won't look at. The second thing is to build a buffer, even a tiny one. You don't need 6 months of expenses saved to stop being fragile. You need enough to handle the kinds of problems that actually happen. A $500 buffer turns a crisis into an annoyance. A $1,000 buffer about what a new transmission costs means you can fix your car and pay rent in the same month without borrowing. Start there, not someday, this month. The third thing is to create space between your income and your expenses. This doesn't necessarily mean earning more, though that helps. It definitely means spending less, but not in the way people usually think. It's not about clipping coupons or skipping coffee. It's about making 1 or 2 big decisions that change your baseline. A smaller apartment, an older car, saying no to the promotion that comes with expensive expectations. These decisions feel hard because they go against what we're supposed to want, but they're the ones that actually move the needle. The fourth thing, and this one takes time, is to build multiple streams of stability. That doesn't mean you need a side hustle or a passive income empire. It means you need options. Skills that transfer to other jobs, relationships that could lead to opportunities, a financial cushion that means you're not desperate if something changes. Marcus, the guy I mentioned earlier, eventually built enough savings that he could leave the toxic job for good. It took him 2 years. But this time when he walked away, he stayed away. Here's the question that changed everything for me. What would have to go wrong for my life to fall apart? Not in a catastrophic, everything at once way, just normal wrong. The kind of wrong that happens to people all the time. Job loss, medical bill, car accident, rent increase, relationship ending. When I asked myself that question honestly, the answer was terrifying. Not much. 1 thing, maybe 2. That's all it would take. So I started making decisions based on a different question. What would make my life harder to break? Not richer, not more impressive, harder to break. That's what led to the notebook. To tracking every dollar, not because I was obsessed, but because I wanted to see where the cracks were. That's what led to paying off the cards one at a time. Not because debt is morally bad, but because I was tired of being fragile. That's what led to keeping the same car, the same apartment, the same quiet life, while my friends were upgrading to bigger and louder ones. They looked more successful than me for a few years. Some of them probably still do. But I sleep better than I used to. If you take one thing from this video, take this. Financial fragility isn't about being poor. It's about being vulnerable. And you can be vulnerable at any income level if you're living too close to the edge. Here's what you can do this week. 1, open your banking app. Actually open it and look at your balance. Not to judge yourself, just to know. 2, ask yourself the question, what would have to go wrong for this to fall apart? If the answer scares you, that's useful information. 3. Make one decision that creates space. Cancel one subscription, skip one purchase, put $100 somewhere you won't touch it. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be something. That's not a rule, that's just what worked for me. See if it works for you. Remember that person at the holiday party? Nice shoes, recent haircut, ordering another round? I still go to those parties. I still see people who look like they have it all together. And now, most of the time, I can't tell the difference between the ones who actually do and the ones who are just better at hiding it than I was. But I know this. The ones who sleep well at night aren't the ones who look the most successful. They're the ones who built something that's hard to break. Quiet doesn't mean small. Subscribe if you want to keep thinking this way with me, and I'll see you in the next one.